This is the CHRILLCAST. I'm Chris.
And I'm Will.
And I'm Billy. It should be the Billcast.
Hey, Billy, before we get into Manic Mondays here, and Will does his awesome Manic Monday intro, why don't we have you tell the audience who you are?
Absolutely. I'm Billy. I run VISNAWesome, a channel that plays generally the newest games coming out or games that I found interesting, and adds comedy to them. But not only do I do that, I throw in a lot of editing, so it's not just your, run-of-the-mill, watch me play a game and be bored kind of thing. So I make it enjoyable for not only myself, but for you guys, and I throw out my own opinion pieces that hopefully are going to start this week because I had a nasty plague last week. But but the opinion pieces should start this week, and it should be a lot more fun and a lot more engaging with everybody on my channel. So
excellent.
It'd be cool.
Go subscribe to Billy. There's like 3 buttons on this one page I'm on that you can subscribe on. So we're good. We are subscribed, but we're in a what's it called? The
private window.
Private window. That's it. I do that so you can't see any of my logins because Amazon came up one time and everybody can see where I lived. So can't do that again. All right. Well, what's today?
Today is Manic Mondays.
You got it, Billy. You got it. For the first time.
What are we covering today, Billy?
We are covering the... Oh my god, I just had it in front of me. Look how prepared I was. There we go. We are covering the awesome launch of the Nintendo Switch. Wait, oh my god, hang on.
Wait, what are you talking about? Hold on,
Shut up.
I'll do it.
I
got this. Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna be covering the 7th birthday of the Wii U and the 18th birthday of the GameCube. Okay, let's just keep it simple. All right.
Notes. So sorry.
The GameCube and the Wii U. It's funny. I just found this out today. Actually launched on the exact same day. What would it be? 11 years apart. 2001 and 2012. So one of them is turning 18. That would be the GameCube, and the Wii U is turning 7 years old. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, Will just picked up his GameCube at 17 because he had to adopt it before it turned 18. So
exactly. And I didn't have the cool purple one. I have the silver one.
Oh man, I got the black one.
Oh man, I never see the purple ones anymore. Like I miss them a lot because I have every one of them except the purple at my house right now.
Oh really?
Yeah, that's the only one I'm missing.
Panasonic Q?
I don't have the Panasonic or the
okay.
really cool pink Gundam one, but like
the Char whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the GameCube, right? That came out when we would have been, probably 10 and under, or maybe slightly over 10, depending on who you are. But
listen, man, I was born with it.
The GameCube was actually quite the endeavor for Nintendo because it was actually more powerful with a less viable media format than the PS2. And I say that because the discs could hold far less information on them than the PS2 discs, because the PS2 discs were DVDs, which is like 7 gigs versus like 1.5 gigs. So every GameCube game that was also on the PS2 that was big, like say Resident Evil 2, 4, whichever one it is, had like 3 discs versus the PS2 had 1.
Yeah.
So a lot of the bigger games on the Xbox and the PS2 did not get direct ports to the GameCube, or if they did, they were at a lesser quality to maintain 1 disc.
Yeah, but the GameCube had a handle, making it far superior.
A lunchbox.
What a better system than anything that Xbox or Sony's put out. Like,
Yeah.
And Nintendo's never made another game console that you can literally pick up and take with you.
That's why everything else has been trash. Like the rest, it's all been garbage.
Billy, that was a joke. The Switch, right?
No, listen. It doesn't have the handle, so it doesn't matter.
You're right. It doesn't have the handle. I'm sure you can get a case with it, but anyways. So the GameCube is probably one of my favorite consoles of all time. And I could talk a whole episode on it, but this is Wii U week. So we're just going to each say one thing we loved about the GameCube. And for me, the Game Boy player is amazing. Okay? I've got that component GameCube cord that allows me to output to an HD TV nicely and crisply. And everything looks beautiful from Game Boy Advance to Game Boy Color to Game Boy, through the Game Boy player, through the GameCube to the TV. It is awesome. I recommend you get one if you haven't already. All right, Will.
Yeah, so something I like is the Double Dash. I think my favorite Mario Kart. I don't know if you just said to go to Billy or not. I talked over you. So.
I said Will.
Okay. So I double dash, but I also love that controller. I think it's one of the best design controllers out there. Even with that weird little right joystick, whatever that thing is, it's strange. I don't know why it's different from the other one, but I do like the controller overall.
How about you, Billy?
This was technically one of my first systems growing up because I was 6 when this came out. But I actually besides Billy Hatcher and obviously Super Smash Brothers Melee, which obviously to me defined the GameCube and was one of my favorite games growing up. The GameCube was my first console, so for a lot of people like myself, it just defined kind of how the generation race went, and it's always kind of built that Nintendo love in for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love the GameCube. We could talk about it all day, but we're not going to. I will give you the total sales of it since we're going to be talking about other sales later. I think it's 32 million. Let's see,
Certainly something around that.
Or no, console sales. That's what it is.
I'd have bought all 32 million. Those things were beautiful. It hurts my heart.
There it is, list of best-selling consoles. And nobody will ever touch the PS2. It's unfortunate, but that is the case. Nobody will ever touch it. GameCube did... Oh, no, GameCube did 21. Nintendo 64 did 32 million.
Okay.
The GameCube did 21.74, so close to 22 million. Anyways, that's that. Now on to the base of the Manic Mondays is... We're going to talk about the current Switch sales and how it compares to the Wii U. And then...
Well, one has a lot. The other one has diddly squat.
The Wii U turned 7 today. It launched on 11/18/2012. It sold 3 million by the end of 2013, which when you think about the fact that it only sold another 10 throughout the entire time it was around, it's kind of crazy. The total sales reached 13.5 plus million units by 2017, about 5 years after launch. And that was about the time the Switch came out. The Switch launched on 3/3/2017. To everybody's surprise, sold like hotcakes, hit 14 plus million by the end of 2017. That's 9 months. Total sales reaching 41 million units by September of 2019 per NPD sales, I believe. This is where I got that number from. And then the preceding console prior to the Wii U was the Wii, which launched on 11/19, so 1 day off. They like that date, I guess. 11/19/2006. It sold 3 million by the end of 2006. That's 1 month. 1 month of sales, 3 million units. The sales reached 100 million units by 2013, about 7 years later. Total sales overall, and they kept it on the market after the Wii U launch. So think about that. They only sold another 1 million post Wii U launch. 101.63 million total. They ended production in 2017. So what we're going to talk about today is why is the Switch so successful? Billy, why don't you give a start? You're a GameStop guy, so boom.
My knowledge, no, but in my own opinion, the Switch kind of did something that a lot of consoles didn't, which was making a handheld that felt like you weren't playing a handheld. And by what I mean by that was the kind of game. Listen, the Vita was fantastic, and it sucks that it didn't. Okay, that's a whole nother video. I will get into that. But while the Vita came out, and there was a lot of promises, there was a lot of companies that were like, hey, our AAA titles will come out on the Vita. A lot of them fell through, and a lot of them realized that they couldn't put out their games on their hardware because it wouldn't port. I know, for example, if I'm not mistaken, I think a lot of the Final Fantasy games they were trying to port over initially were having a lot of trouble going onto the Vita because it just wasn't either it was audio issues or it was vocal issues, but they couldn't synchronize the entire game over onto the console itself. So they stopped doing a lot of Square Enix games on there, and that's just a small snippet of a company. Imagine all the other companies that weren't doing it on that system, but. You're getting massive stories on the Switch now. Nobody ever thought The Witcher was ever going to go to the Switch, and it's on there. It's trying, but it's on there. But it's games like that where you can take fully fledged out RPGs on the go with you, and it doesn't feel like you're playing like a shrank down version of like, I don't know, Fire Emblem, for example, or like any other good RPGs. Like, oh god, I can't even think of one off the top. I just played my Switch like an hour ago. Like
Xenoblade Chronicles.
Xenoblade Chronicles, or like Final Fantasy VII, or any of these big games. Like it's insane how well developed this console is, and how well above expectations it did, I guess.
What about you, Will? What do you got?
Oh, I think there's a couple reasons. You gotta look at that launch lineup. They had Breath of the Wild at launch. That's pretty amazing as a launch game.
Yeah.
And then just in that first couple of years, that's some absolutely amazing games that completely changed the series that they're in. So like Mario Odyssey, obviously Breath of the Wild. But then Mario Kart 8 is arguably one of the best Mario Karts.
Also on the Wii U.
And yeah, I realized that most of those original games were on the Wii U. But that brings back to why the Wii U was so terrible, because it didn't launch as like seeming like it was just a controller. So it launched as an actual system. People knew what it was going to be. It had an awesome marketing campaign where it had the little click, so it's going to switch from the dock into your hand, and you know exactly what you're getting. And it was an amazing concept. Whereas the Wii U had a very similar concept, but they bungled it because no one had any idea what the heck it was. They were like, "Oh, this must be a $300 controller," whereas the Switch was a $300 console that you actually knew what you were getting. And again, they were able to quickly port over games. I realized they enhanced some of them, but they had so many great games right off the gate because of the failure of the Wii U. And yeah, I just think that people knew what they were getting. It was a unique concept that other consoles weren't doing, and they had some amazing games that first year. And then now that you're getting third-party support, which they didn't have the last couple generations, again, Chris, hurtling on me. And that third-party support, so people, are buying those games even if they already have them on another system, just because they want to be able to play it on the go.
I agree with you, Will, and Billy. I agree with both of you guys. I think the fact that they could cannibalize an entire library of games on a console that barely sold compared to its previous generations really launched the Switch, because you had all these games that people just didn't recognize they were already out. I've been talking to people at work that say, "Oh, I'm going to get my kids a Switch so they can play this," and I'm like, "It's on the Wii U. You can pay $100 and get it for $10 at GameStop, and Black Friday."
I say, "What is that?"
Yeah, they're like, "Wait, the Wii?"
Yeah.
So the Switch was able to immediately cannibalize all these games, and nobody even recognized that the games were already out, unless you're a diehard Nintendo fan or you already own a Wii U. Which I think I got my Wii U right before the Switch came out, or right the year after. I don't recall what. No, it was right when the Switch came out, because I got the Breath of the Wild with. Nope.
Yep.
No, it was after, because Breath of the Wild was out.
Oh yeah, I forgot it was a launch title for it.
That's right,
I'm stupid, and you just said it, Will, but Jesus, brain. All right.
And actually, it's the best-selling Zelda game of all time, unless you include remakes and remasters, which allowed the Ocarina of Time to have so many more sales.
Well deserved. We can debate that forever, but I thought Breath of the Wild was a good entry.
Stay tuned to Fandom Fridays for more Breath of the Wild.
So the second question is, given that the Switch is so successful, let's look at a previous console before the Wii U and why that was successful. The Wii. Why is the Wii successful, and why is it not the same reason as the Switch? I mean, the Wii arguably is for casual players, whereas the Switch can be for both pros and casual players. Billy, you got a take on that?
I do. So I always feel like Nintendo does this fantastic thing, especially, and you see it a lot, like more currently, or like a lot more now, like with the release of the Switch Lite and the Switch V2. But like Nintendo always likes to release a second version of a console. You'll follow me here, but they always like to release a second version of a console. And with the Wii U, I will get in this rant in a minute about the Wii U, but the Wii U kind of felt like that second edition of the Wii, while the Wii felt like something brand new. And the Wii brought motion controls to the table, which, granted, it wasn't the first console to like natively define that. Like there was one other couple off-brand consoles and a few controls on the DS that kind of let you simulate that. But it was the first one that actually made you feel like you were a part of the game you were playing. It was the closest thing we had to like VR essentially. Like it was a really good starting point, and it kind of like, and even with like Wii Sports, like where it actually let you feel like you were bowling or baseball or anything in between. It gave you that feeling that you were actually in the game. And, you know, besides that, it was on top of the fact that they were marketing it with a lot of really good Nintendo games like Super Mario Charger or Strikers, and games that actually, again, made you feel like you were in the game if you were playing the Wii. But again, that's me. I just feel like the inclusion of everything made it a little easier for folks to kind of jump into the system.
But unlike the Switch, after the initial launch, the momentum of the Wii just died.
Then they realized what kind of system it was,
Yeah,
and they were like, "Oh God, no, take it back."
That's what I'm saying. Like as soon as you get past like the Kinect era, where the Xbox was like, "Oh, let's try this ourselves," the Wii basically came to a halt for like years. But it did break 100 million.
I really think, like, and not to throw out other stuff, but I really think it was the fact that the Wii kept putting out crapware in my like they put out like a really shining example is Dead Rising drop till you drop till you chop
till you drop. I'm very aware of this game.
Listen, I'm so sorry, Chris, if you like it.
I don't like that game.
Series.
I love Dead Rising. I don't like that game.
I love Dead Rising 1 is my favorite game, and then Chop Till You Drop came out, and I was like, this is awesome, and then the hopes were dashed. But the Wii kept throwing games. Exactly, and that was the whole, like, zombie poodles and parrots. That's all it was. But
it had like 10 zombies on screen.
Oh God, I know, because the Wii just couldn't handle anything more than that. It killed me.
Oh man. Well, what do you got?
I think every generation, Nintendo tries something new. They always try to differentiate themselves from the competition. I don't really view them as true competitors to Sony and Microsoft because they're always off in their own little category. Generally, people own the Nintendo console as well as one of the other ones.
If they own multiple consoles, one of them's Nintendo.
Yes. With the Wii, why that was so successful, I think you hit it with the fact that it touched on that casual crowd. Anyone could play it, including your grandparents. So that's how they marketed it. As this is a console for basically everyone, and everyone bought it. I think a lot of it was that initial buy-in. That's where they got the momentum from. And like you said, like people didn't really keep buying it because they realized it was okay for some of that stuff. And a lot of the best games didn't really use the motion controls very much because it ended up being kind of a gimmick for some games and kind of a hindrance for a lot of games. But
Skyward Sword.
Yeah. Again, it was unique. So Nintendo always when Nintendo hits that unique factor, they hit it big, and they hit it really big with that system, and they hit it really big with the Switch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably one of the coolest features is docking and undocking that thing. So then, I just want to talk briefly because we're going to talk about this on Wednesday. Why did the Wii U fail? Just give me one reason. Billy, you go first.
I think the Wii U failed because they didn't change. I mean, it just seemed like more of an addition to the Wii. It didn't really add much besides a pad that made it a lot more bulkier.
By you, Will.
I thought it was a peripheral. I didn't realize it was a whole new system. I thought
until I talked to you about it.
Yeah, well, I think I realized a little bit sooner when they first started marketing Breath of the Wild. I was like, oh, the Wii U is his own thing? I had no idea.
Like, oh, yeah. Okay, I think the problem with the Wii U, and you guys might disagree with me on this, I don't remember any marketing that involved any games on any commercials I ever saw on TV that I would be interested in. I remember seeing all the holiday commercials where they have the kids in the living room. They're like, Mom, Dad, we have a Wii. Let's get a Wii U. And then they had to show these pie charts. The kids drew it up. And I was like, okay, it's a cute commercial, but what am I even looking at? Like, I would see these ads, and I'd be so confused. Like, is this console specifically for kids? Would it pass the COPPA laws?
Listen, if I don't, they don't.
But no, I don't think the launch lineup was extremely strong right out the gate, and I think that really hurt. And then on top of that, the marketing was atrocious. So that's all I got. So here we are. We're sitting at the best-selling Nintendo console, if you exclude handhelds, was the Wii at 100 million. Second place would be the NES with 62. Nintendo Switch is number 3 at 41 million. So it's already the number 3 best-selling Nintendo console if you exclude the DS, which almost surpassed the PS2. And with that being said, do you guys have anything you want to add?
I still love the system.
Same here.
I do too. It's stupid, but I love it.
Yeah, so that's Manic Mondays for Wii U week. As always, I'm Chris.
I'm Will.
It's Bailey.
It's Billy. And we will see you
on next CHRILLCAST. My bad, I forgot my line.